Good morning and welcome to the Berks County Board of Elections meeting. Today is May 28th. It is 11 a.m. and we will call the meeting to order. We'll start with the public comment notice, and I'll ask Stephanie to please read that.
Public comment will be accepted in person and through the Q&A function. Please include your first name, last name, and municipality for all comments. Any comments without name and municipality will not be considered. Each citizen can submit one comment. Comment length is dictated by limitations of the platform being used, Teams Q&A. In-person comments will be accepted first, followed by comments submitted virtually. The meeting comment period is limited to a total of 30 minutes, including both in-person and virtual comments. This time period may be extended at the county's discretion. Please be concise. Comments that are germane to county business will be read during the meeting and should not be considered to be interactive dialogue. The county shall be the final arbiter of whether a comment is germane and should be read. Any response to public comment will be done at the county's discretion.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephanie. We'll now move on to the approval of the minutes from the May 7, 2026 Election Board meeting. Are there any corrections or additions? If none, the minutes stand approved as presented. We'll move on to public comment on agenda items. We have none in person. Do we have any online? Nothing online either. Okay. We'll now move on to the agenda items. There are four agenda items for the meeting today. The first one is the unofficial returns reporting form, and this is the board to authorize the execution of the unofficial returns reporting form for the 2026 general primary to the Department of State, and this is solely for the races of governor and lieutenant governor, and these are numbers that needed to be submitted last Tuesday by 5 p.m., but today we would sign the official form and send it in on behalf of the county.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. The motion carries. Second item is the receipt of the unofficial computation and canvassing of votes cast at the May 19, 2026 general primary and commencement of the 5-day period for public inspection. And this would be the first signing of the results, including all of the ballots, which include provisional and military and overseas as well. And this form will be submitted to the Department of State, and it will commence the 5-day review period, which would start tomorrow at 8 a.m. and end at 5 p.m. on Thursday.
I'll make that motion. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? If none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. The motion carries. Item number 3 is discussion of election-related text message complaints for decision as to whether to refer the matter to the District Attorney's Office for further investigation. And for this item, I will hand it over to our solicitor, Cody Kaufman.
Thank you, Commissioner, and good morning, Election Board. Before I begin on these next two agenda items, I'll just give my standard disclaimer with these referral type situations that the Election Board obviously isn't deciding guilt or innocence. Simply what we look at is whether or not the facts as currently known and presented to us are contrary to the law within the election code. So for this agenda item, we received multiple complaints from a constituent regarding text messages that were received from a New Jersey phone number. The text messages used the likeness of the individual and also of another individual in campaign-related text messages. The overall tenor of the complaints that were received alleged that this was harassment, which would generally fall outside the purview of the Election Board under these circumstances. But from an Election Board and election code standpoint, the text message campaign advertisements that were sent from this New Jersey phone number contained the photos of the two individuals, do not contain the requisite advertising disclaimer. I had previously circulated those text messages to the board for review. Recall that the election code requires that whenever any person makes an expenditure for the purposes of financing communications that expressly advocate for the election or defeat of a candidate, that communication has to clearly and conspicuously state the name of the person who made or financed the expenditure. Since the text messages with the photos of the individuals advocate for the election or defeat of a candidate, and there are no disclaimers, my recommendation would be to refer this matter to the District Attorney's Office for further investigation, which would be consistent with our other campaign advertisement complaints that we have referred in the past.
I'll make that motion. I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Just a little bit. I think what makes it even a little bit more challenging isn't the right word, problematic, is that it's a picture of a person who isn't running for office. And that's where the harassment came in. And I believe the individual communicated to me, they've already contacted, I believe last week, their local police department, and the police department is investigating that as well. I think all three of us understand politics can get pretty heated, but there are rules. And when evidence, and I cannot emphasize, not claims, not algorithms, when evidence is brought to this board, it goes to you first. You look at it, you vet it, not for guilt or innocence, but to say, is there a legitimate election board issue? And if there is, we refer it to the district attorney. People need to take this stuff seriously and understand their rules. They need to follow them. If they don't, there are consequences.
So I don't even know what the position, I think it was state committee, if I'm not mistaken. But you're saying the person that was harassed or?
It was not, one
not
was
running
state
for
committee
office?
and one was state house.
Okay. And the other person was not running for office?
Yeah, I don't want to say the name.
No, I'm not saying,
But
okay.
the
I was just
picture
wondering.
of that on the top,
Right,
she's not running for anything.
okay. Okay.
Yeah, the
I was
other
just wondering
person
why we
was.
would be involved if somebody wasn't running, but the other two were. Okay, so I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're not talking about the third one yet, right? You're just talking about
Correct.
the
Yes.
New Jersey number.
Correct,
So
the New Jersey number. And to follow up on Commissioner Santoni, while the one person whose likeness was used, while she wasn't running, the text message related to the state house race and was
Okay.
essentially said that the candidate was supported by this person whose likeness they used. And then
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right. Yes, I
Yeah.
remember that now. Okay, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
None opposed. The motion carries. Now move on to our fourth item, which is a discussion of Election Day call center shore system issues for discussion as to whether to refer the matters to the district attorney's office for further investigation. And I will also hand this over to our solicitor.
Thank you. So there's a separate HR component to this issue, so I'm only going to give the details, obviously, that are pertinent to the election board today. So on election day, we were made aware of an employee up here in the call center. We have a call center up here for voters can call in on election day to get their questions answered. This employee was working in the call center,
Thank you.
and we discovered that they made changes to their own voter registration record. The changes were to the phone number and the language. The employees up here in the call center have access to the SURE system on election day to assist voters who may call in with questions, whether it be about how they're registered, whatever, which precinct they're in, et cetera. The concern is that the voter registration deadline is passed for this election to update your voter registration. And more importantly, there's a specific process that must be followed to change your voter registration. An updated voter registration form has to be submitted to election services, and then the information will be updated accordingly at the right time. In addition, there are 2 provisions within the voter registration law that criminalize unauthorized changes to voter registration information. Given the sensitive nature of voter registration information and the safeguards that are in place to ensure its integrity, while this change, did seem minimal, it is nonetheless concerning when it's altered without authorization. Originally, just based upon that instance, my recommendation was going to be to not refer this matter to the DA's office, as again, it seemed to be an isolated instance of a relatively minor change being made. However, yesterday we learned that there is another call center employee who also made changes in the SURE system on election day. The 2 employees in question were sitting next to each other in the call center. As I understand it, at no point were employees in the call center told that they were allowed to make changes. As I mentioned earlier, and concerningly with the second individual who made the changes, it wasn't to her own voter registration record, it was to another voter's voter registration record. As mentioned, the law does criminalize unauthorized changes to voter registration information. The statutes in question are 25 PA-CSA 1704 and 1707. And essentially what they criminalize is it's a misdemeanor of the first degree to either intentionally insert or permit to be inserted an entry in a registration record without a proper application, and 2, intentionally insert or permit to be inserted a material entry in a registration record when the entry is not done in accordance with the voter registration law. Given that there are now multiple instances of unauthorized changes being made to the voter registration information, and these actions are contrary to the requirements of the voter registration law, my recommendation would be to refer this matter to the DA's office for further investigation. Candidly, I did go back and forth on this one, but ultimately what I kept going back to is the facts as we know them are contrary to the 2 sections of the voter registration law that I cited. And I think it's important that we stay consistent with that practice. Open it up for any questions.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second the motion.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? A few things I just want to comment on here is, one, we did go back and verify all the users, and there were no other instances of this. And we don't know of any that have happened in prior elections either, because you can go in and see each user, what was done. The other thing, which is a little bit concerning as well, and which will be addressed, is that these users, when these users have to be requested by DOS for the elections, and they're requested as view-only users, so they really should not even have access to be able to make any changes. So this is something that has also been, we've made DOS aware of this as well, so they can look into the SURE system also and see what the issue is with that. So we have a motion and a second. No further discussions. All those in favor of referring the matter to the district attorney's office? Motion aye.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed. The motion carries. Okay. Sorry, my computer logged out on me here.
Election director's report.
Yeah. So now move on to the election director's report.
Okay, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Our office is busy working on reviewing the write-in votes. The snippets are now posted on the Election Services website. Potential write-in candidates can view them there. The petition to accumulate write-in votes is also available on our website. And again, this would be for potential write-in candidates collecting write-in votes that are variations of their registered name. That would be due to our office by the end of the 5-day review period, which is 5 p.m. on Thursday, June 4th. We will be conducting audits next week, the 2% audit and the RLA if we are chosen for that. The state will let us know tomorrow for that. At any rate, the audits will be conducted on Tuesday, June 2nd at 600 Penn Street. And we will be posting information on our website regarding this for anyone that's interested in representing their party as a participant or as an observer. And that's, I believe, all I have.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll now move on to general comments from the board regarding current election-related issues. There's just a few things some numbers I want to bring up. This past election, we had 51,612 ballots cast. Of those, 25,937 were Democrats and 25,675 were Republican ballots. The total voter turnout was 23.22%. The Democrat voter turnout was 24.9%, and the Republican voter turnout was 21.73%. Mail-in and absentee ballots, the total number of mail-in ballots issued was 19,855. Democrat mail-in ballots counted was 11,436. Republican mail ballots counted was 4,861. The total mail ballots counted was 16,297, which equals 82.08% return. So that's a really good number of return ballots based on what was mailed out. The other thing I want to mention also is that when you look at provisional ballots, throughout the county, there were 224 ballots that were submitted. Of those, there were 77 that were rejected for various purposes, but mainly due to the wrong party or being that they were independents or and not affiliated to any party, and therefore they were not able to vote. And also some of the those that were counted were only counted partially because of where they voted the provisional ballots at. The adjudication for the provisional ballots was done last Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday, and there were no observers at that, although it is announced and people are invited to come. There were no observers that came to sit there and through that process. The other thing I want to let everyone know is this, not tomorrow, but next Friday, June the 5th at noon, we will be having a special elections board meeting where we will be reviewing the petitions to accumulate any tiebreakers, and we will also do the final certification on that day. Again, that is Friday, June the 5th at noon. Are there any other comments from the board regarding current election-related issues? Okay, if none, we'll move to public comment. We have one in person, bless you. We have one in person. Jeff, you know the deal.
My name is Jeff Wolf, and I'm from Brecknock Township. From the Pennsylvania Department of State website, there's a poll worker training document titled Check-in Station Procedures. I found it confusing. It talks about the need to check Section 1 of a poll book and Section 2, depending upon how the voter answers some questions regarding mail ballots. Additionally, the document offers commentary regarding counties that use supplemental poll books. And a lot of complexity, in my opinion, too much. After talking with judges of elections, poll watchers, inspectors, before, during, and after the election, I must say that I like how our elections director, Mrs. Norton, has dealt with this problem by requiring the precinct inspectors to check the supplemental poll book first prior to searching for the voter in the electronic poll book. This is keeping it simple, and I like that. I may have been ignorant of how this process worked before. Berks County uses an electronic poll book, which presumably is loaded with voter registration and mail ballot request data at the time that the poll books undergo logic and accuracy testing, which is a week before the election. And please tell me if I'm wrong about any of this part. The LNA testing of the electronic poll books took place Monday, May 11th, and continued until completed. And I believe it's almost 3 days sometimes for that to be done. And the last day to apply for a mail ballot is May 12th. So the problem is that it may be prohibitive to record the last minute request for mail ballots in the electronic poll books because of this tight timeline. It is necessary to publish the supplemental poll book to capture all the voters who had requested their mail ballots just prior to the deadline. If this step is overlooked, mail ballot recipients may inadvertently be allowed to vote on the machines. I was pleased to learn that the inspectors had been well instructed to check the supplemental poll book prior to searching the electronic poll book and prior to permitting the voter to cast a regular ballot using the voting machines. To make the check-in process even more efficient, the clerks or inspectors were encouraged to highlight the names of those voters on their precinct voter lists that were flagged as having requested a mail ballot in the supplemental poll book, thus reducing the need to page through the book every time a voter presented themselves at the polling place. Republican poll watcher observations from the primary, I will summarize in writing. Most of those observations will not need to be discussed in this forum. Additionally, I will, in my written report anyway, put some other concerns that I have about Department of State training materials, and I'll include that when I do the written report. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. Do you have anything online, Cody? Okay. So before, yeah, so we do, because we have the special meeting on Friday, there will be no meeting on Thursday. Okay, before we adjourn, I would just like to take a moment again. I did this last Thursday at our board meeting, but I again want to take the moment to thank the staff at Election Services, Ann and her team, Stephanie, who's the deputy. Thank them for the work that they did. It's long days before, long days after. As you saw, they were here adjudicating provisionals on Saturday, the Saturday of a holiday weekend. So there's a lot of work that goes into this, and they take their work very, very seriously. They want to make sure that things get done right down there. There's a lot of others who worked on election day as well. We had Cody Kaufman, our solicitor, and Christine Sadler as well, who were here all day, early in the morning to late at night. Kevin, our COO as well, going back and forth. Jonathan was here. So there were many, many people that go into making sure that the elections on Tuesday ran smoothly. So a huge thank you to all of them. If I did not mention you, not that you weren't important, just that I don't remember everyone at the time when I'm speaking here. But again, to all those who were involved last Tuesday, working up to Tuesday, making sure we got here, making sure that we will be able to certify next Friday. Thank you very much for your great work on behalf of the citizens of Berks County. That is the end of the agenda.
Do you have an answer on the mail-in ballot applications and the electronic poll books?
Yeah, Jeff is exactly right. That's one of the reasons we have to provide that supplemental poll book, because there are still voters requesting a mail-in ballot after registration has closed.
Which is one of the reasons the County Commissioners Association has consistently requested that the deadline be moved back 2 weeks versus 1 week. It's a conflict, and so we have to take extra steps in order to address that. But again, nothing's moved on elections reform in PA in quite some time.
Okay, with that, I will accept the motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.